I always like to kind of pull the audience, and I know that we've had some late nights and everything. But what do you think health means? What comes to mind when you think it? What do you think health means? Yes, you. What comes to mind?
In my opinion, I believe that health can be defined as an harmony between mind, soul, an harmony between mind, body.
That's a really good, yes, good. That's a really good. Anyone else? What comes to mind for you? Yes, you.
For me, maintaining and being health, it means to understand your biorhythms and to respect them. To respect your body, to respect your mind, to respect your soul, to respect the hours and the intervals you can work, the interval you can sleep, the interval you can eat for your optimal benefit.
Good.
So you have to understand your biorhythms. It's the key for your health.
Yes.
If you have a disturbed life in many aspects, and a disturbed life, I sense it here about the sleep disorder, about the noise, about the the nights that we spent here. That didn't add a good connotation on our biorhythm about sleep and work.
Yes.
It's, with an example.
Yeah, but it's only a vacation that we're on right now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not maintaining on a long distance.
Yeah, that's why we call it a party and a vacation. It's only for a short amount of time. Good. You obviously spent some time thinking about this.
I did not introduce myself. I'm Matthew,
Yes.
and I'm a medical doctor, resident in psychiatry. I'm a colleague with Joe.
I'm going to be calling on you two through, so don't leave. I want your input as well. So, and actually, what I have to say, the people that I've talked to, you guys have a better understanding than a lot of the people in America. When a lot of the people you ask about health in America, they'll be like, "Oh, well, I got to exercise, right?" That's like really the only thing they think about. They don't think about eating. They don't think about the sleep. They don't think about the healthy mind like you're talking about. So, and that's really kind of the areas that I'll be talking about today. And you set me up for it, so I appreciate it. Is healthy body composition, and there's a lot more to that than just your actual weight. And I'll get into that. Healthy eating, what that looks like. Healthy exercise, healthy sleep, and healthy mind. You've pretty much covered everything. You probably read my notes.
No.
All right, so, and I'm going to pass around the computer again. Gio, you are, actually, can you guys see the screen at all? It's kind of dark, so I had some more examples of different people that have changed their lives, but I'm just going to skip ahead. All right, just so people can see the BMI chart. So, healthy body composition, it's the makeup of your body. I'm going to call on you again. When you think of body composition, what comes to mind? How do you guys gauge it in the medical system here?
Well, the body composition for me it's about water and fat, muscle.
Exactly. So one of the main ones we have, and I was going to print out a picture.
The four major components: proteins, carbohydrates, water, and oligo-elements, so to say.
Perfect. So what I'm passing around, this is the BMI chart. This is like the quick reference that we do in America to kind of understand being at a healthy weight. It's a quick reference, pretty accurate, but there actually gets to be a little bit more information about it. The best thing to gauge your body, and again, by the way, I'm just going to say this multiple times, this is just information. It's nothing you have to be perfect about. And just like for me, understanding a little bit at a time is what helped me. And actually, if you guys don't know my story, my whole family has lost over 2,200 pounds in their life. We were very unhealthy. I've lost 25 myself. I didn't know. I was your average American person about 5 years ago. And by understanding a little bit of this stuff at a time, I didn't understand it all in one class. It took, but yes, you agree with me. It takes time to understand all of this stuff. So there is weight that you want to consider with being a body composition. This is one of the most important aspects of your health. But more importantly, and this is not readily available to test, but your body fat percentage. So the amount of body fat you have in your body. And it's different for men or for women. So they have it broken down by fitness levels. So like your typical athlete, so like your football players here, men will have 6 to 13% body fat. Women, that's athlete like that, will have 14 to 20. Fitness level, like a pretty good fitness level, will be 14 to 17% for men. 21, and then it goes up. But then an obese and an unhealthy body fat percentage level is 25 to 32%. Does everyone understand what body fat percentage is? It's the combination of how much muscle to how much fat you have in your body, and it affects not only what's on the outside, but really the inside. So the next slide on there a couple of ones. It shows the inner breakdown of what happens, because when you have extra weight on your body or a higher fat percentage, not only do you carry around more weight, it hurts your joints, it hurts everything on your body, but that stuff is also surrounding your organs, and it makes it harder to work. Actually, if you look at a heart of a healthy person and versus someone who could be obese, there's a lot more fat and a lot more work that's going on with that. So that's what decreases your life expectancy, makes it harder for your body to operate, all of those things. And actually, if you look at that picture that's on there, you guys can fast forward on it, there's two bodies that are side by side, and you can see literally the fat surrounding the heart, and you can't see that by telling. And then actually the kick on that one is there's actually, we call them healthy fat people, because you can be at a healthy weight, but you can actually have a lot of fat in your body. You can call it inner fat. So the eating part that I'm going to talk about will really kind of help you determine that. But it's good to know this. There's a lot of different testing you can do. They have caliber, pinch testing. That won't tell you exactly what's going on the inside, but it's a fat percentage testing. There is water testing where they dunk you in a tank. They actually dunk you in a tank to tell you exactly what your body makeup is. Or there's what they call bod pod testing. You can sit in a little like egg type thing. It looks like a spaceship, and it puts out exactly how much muscle, how much fat, and how much water weight you have in your body. It's pretty crazy. I've done it before. It's kind of weird. But the other thing about that, when I'm talking about body composition, like, and I changed it over. I speak in pounds and inches, so Gio helped me with the measurement here. So you can have someone who's 180 centimeters, 80 kilograms, and the body makeup of them can be vastly different. So, and what a big problem is in America, people aren't exercising enough. They're not eating enough nutritious foods. They're not eating enough protein. So what happens is you can have someone the exact same weight, but they'll have a lot more like a higher body fat percentage. So you'll have kind of a more round shape, or you could have someone who's the same exact weight, lower body fat percentage, because muscle weighs more than fat. So, anyone tracking with me? Is this all new information, or give me a read? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. All right. So that's kind of the makeup of the body, and one of the most important things is the healthy body composition. But how you control that is your eating and all the different aspects you talked about. But one of the main ones that contribute to that is eating. So, like, what's kind of your typical eating schedule in Romania? Is it 3 meals a day?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Meals and some snacks.
And some snacks. You're very healthy. You want to come up here with me and teach the class? Alrighty. So a lot of this stuff, like, is this stuff new to you? Like the stuff I'm talking about? You guys, actually, I read a report. You guys are like one of the healthiest countries in all the European. That's what you guys have the lowest obese percentage.
Where did you read that?
Online.
In Romania, the statistics are not so many.
There are not so many. Okay.
In any disease or healthy people or social problems, the statistics
They don't get reported as well?
No.
Okay. I was actually wondering about that, but I wasn't going to say that to you guys out of respect for your guys' country. They're just catching up now?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll see in the next few years, which is actually interesting, because that's kind of what I thought from what I saw looking around. But I thought about that too, because we had the same thing in America. We started gathering statistics a lot on this in the 80s, and as statistics rolled in, we got better at keeping this information, and a lot of this information came out. So, but the biggest factor in your body composition and eating and having a healthy body is, one of the biggest things is how you eat. So I'm just going to give you a lot of generic ideas. Again, there's so many things that I could give you about it, but just continuing to learn is probably one of the main things. But just the bare basics, if I could give you anything, is breakfast every day. One of the most important things is starting your metabolism in the morning and getting your day started. Eating 5 to 6 times a day, about 3 meals, and then some snacks in between, because you guys know insulin levels and how those work. When we eat food, our body produces insulin, helps break down our foods, and if you span it between meals, you kind of get this big effect on your body, and it's kind of like there's multiple factors, but that leads to wearing out your body over time, and diabetes, other health issues like that. So what happens is, if you eat small meals, you keep your body in check, you keep your insulin levels balanced, and also, has anyone ever in America, we call it hangry, where you haven't eaten for a long time, you start to get a little irritated and angry. You ever been like that, Veronica? Where you just don't be around you if you haven't eaten for a while? That's because your blood sugar levels are getting low, and when your blood sugar levels get low, you start getting hungry, you start making good decisions, you get a little irritated. So eating every so often, every 3 to 4 hours, has a lot of benefit for your metabolism, for your insulin levels, for how nice you are to people. So if you want to have friends, it's good to eat every few hours. So that's good right there. Not eating a lot before bed, because what do? When we sleep, we just sit there for hours. And if we eat a lot of our calories at that time, a lot of processed carbs, a lot of sugar, our bodies are going to break that down, more likely to store it as fat. Everything in check with? Good? All right. Another one here is eat slowly. There's actually a difference. Your body, it takes 10 minutes for your brain to realize that your stomach is full. So when you eat slower, you're less likely to overeat. So when you get in that hangry state where you haven't eaten for hours,
don't rush into food.
Don't rush into food. Anyone ever done that where they haven't eaten for hours and they're just starving, and then they eat, and then they just gobble everything down, and then they're like, oh, I'm just gonna roll out. Yeah, like to roll yourself out of the restaurant. If you eat slower, you'll notice that. Practice that. We have some time here on the island. We're eating food. Try that. If you get really hungry, we're staying out late. We're having alcohol, which contributes to kind of not knowing what to eat so much and kind of misconcepting food. I'll get to that in a second. But practice eating slowly or taking a few bites, and you might think you're starving, but then 5 minutes later, you'll realize you're not as hungry as you thought. So this practice right here will really reduce overeating. So just something that I thought was pretty fascinating. I learned that. Drinking a lot of water. Your body operates more efficiently when it's properly hydrated. There's so many components to the body, and there's all these different things. None of these ones are really super more important than the other. But water, and I've kind of noticed, and actually I'd love to get your opinion. Coming here from America, I noticed you guys don't drink a lot of water.
Maybe on the island because the supply is short, but in general,
yeah, they're drinking something else that's clear instead.
Yes.
What's that? Fire water. Is that what it's called?
Fire water.
Suika?
Okay, yeah.
I've seen some people drinking that. It's like the opposite effect of water. But when we went out to a restaurant and they don't serve you water unless you ask for it here.
Yes.
Yeah, or paid for it. And that's so weird because in America you just you sit down and there's water waiting for you. Anyways, hydration is a big part of the body. A lot of people aren't aware of it. That was one thing I wasn't aware of. And I'm going to mess up the translation, but roughly, I'm not actually even going to go there because it's not going to make sense because it's in pounds and ounces. You guys don't really speak that way, do you? Okay. We have a saying in America that you're supposed to drink half your body weight, the amount of pounds you weigh, drink half the amount in ounces. So what's 80 to 100 ounces?
200.
2 liters? About 2 liters of water a day is a good gauge, roughly. It depends on your body size. You need more or less. But focusing on getting that much water in your body helps your body operate better over time. Consider alcohol intake. There's a lot of things that go on with alcohol. And I'm not saying don't drink alcohol. It's actually, there's some health benefits of relaxing, and wine has antioxidants and things like that. So I would never tell anyone don't drink alcohol. But be aware of what it does to you. When you drink alcohol, it slows down your metabolism for up to 72 hours. So how fast your body burns calories, it slows down when you drink alcohol because it's depressant. Also, there's a disconnect on anyone ever drink a lot and then get really hungry and eat a lot of food at night? Yeah, because you've never done that, right? We didn't do that at all on this trip.
I did it after we went to bed.
Well, you and I did it too.
Oh, yeah.
We were out fishing for a while. We got kind of hangry. And then we drank, and then we had more food than we meant to have.
Time of confession, my friend.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're on vacation. That's one thing I'm going to talk about is, in moderation, it's okay. These are just the things if you had to have a default on your eating schedule on how you live your life, exactly how you were talking about being on vacation, this is kind of your default programming. And then obviously you can enjoy yourself in moderation. But this is the way that you want to treat your body. And the difference between those two people that I showed you earlier and the lifestyle that you live. Look at you. You're very healthy. You probably practice a lot of the things that I'm talking about here today. Yes. So alcohol intake really messes with that too. So be aware. It's just be aware of it. So when I drink a lot, I'm very cognizant. like when I go home, I'm going to get back on my eating schedule, back on exercise, and get my body back in a normal routine. I'm not saying don't have it. It's just be aware of what it can do to your body. Average calorie intake for the day. In America, we talk about 2,000 calories. It's different based on your particular body. If you have more muscle, you burn more calories just standing around a day, which I'm going to get to exercise on that. But for every pound of muscle you have, generically, you burn about 70 extra calories a day. So having more muscle mass means that you are more likely to, it's kind of like a progression. Like if you have more muscle, you can eat more, you'll add more muscle. And it can also go the backwards effect is you eat less, you don't exercise, you go the other way, you lose less muscle, you burn less calories. That's kind of why we have such an epidemic in America, because we're not very good at that. The other things are avoid processed foods. Man, there's just so many processed foods, and there's really no nutritional value to it for your body. It's like putting water in a car, or like watered down gas. It's probably not going to be very good for that car, right? Probably break down. It'll run for a little bit, but there's really not giving it what it needs. It's going to hurt it over time. So I could get into all of that stuff, and actually Gio and I had a really good conversation. You guys don't have any problems here with like genetically modified foods, really?
It's just starting.
It's just starting?
It's just starting.
Well, and so this is probably why it's good to talk about this, because you guys don't have to make the same mistakes that we're making in America right now. Like, we're learning from the last 20 years of the mistakes that we've made, because we've kind of jumped out ahead by making all these processed foods and everything. So, if it's white, if it's processed, it's not meant to be in your body. There's a lot of the nutrition taken out of it. It doesn't usually have the macronutrient your body needs. Yes, it tastes good, and also our bodies are programmed to want that. Did you know it's ingrained in our human nature to want high fatty foods, to want sugar, because it's not prevalent in nature. So when we see it, it sets off the receptors in our brain, and we want it. Like, do you have anything to comment on that? Anything from that you studied?
I want to make a parallel, because here in Romania, maybe half of the people here, we have families that live in the countryside.
Yeah.
So we have many rural villages, many rural environments, and we get our resources from those several hundred square meters that families have in outside the cities. So we have vegetables, fruits that are fresh. We have integral cereals. We don't go venture to the supermarket to buy grains or something like that. We just keep taking them from the countryside in a small environment, and that's a big factor for us for keeping healthy on diets on the diet level.
Of course, not everybody does that.
The ingredients. That level is decreasing now, because the villages are emptying. Many people are going for working outside the country, and there is more and more people that are working in the countryside. And that will be a problem for us, I believe, in a couple of years.
So your agriculture isn't producing as much, or there's less people in that industry?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually kind of a little bit what happened in America. It's really hard to make a living in agriculture. So they subsidize a lot of that, and it's more subsidized to produce the food that's not so good. So we actually have a lot of genetically modified food. And actually,
you find yourself with no opportunity.
What's that?
You find yourself with no opportunities to. You have to take what is offered.
Yes. We have a saying in America that you only shop, to be healthy, you only shop in the outside aisles, because generally that's where you find like the meat that comes in, the whole foods, and you have to watch out for the ones that are modified. Probably 80% of the store is processed foods that really have no good nutritional value for your body. So it is actually a hard thing, because if you drop yourself in the middle of America and you didn't know anything, everything that's set in front of you isn't what your body's supposed to have. Like, if you are hungry in the middle of the day and you only have a few seconds to eat, it's pretty hard to get healthy food, because you're really only going to have to rely on fast food or something that's at a supermarket or something fast. It's not really easy to get that. And actually, what I was talking about is a lot of the foods in America, and it sounds like you guys are going this way, are genetically modified. So they grow faster. We do it to our animals. We do it to our vegetables, so they grow faster. A lot of the nutrition is sacrificed in it, and there's a big discussion whether genetically modified foods are meant for our body and things that can happen. I don't really have a full opinion on it, because there's studying still coming out on it. What do you guys say about it? What are you guys looking at about it in Romania?
about my opinion,
Yeah.
with my knowledge for this moment, we are using modified organisms, the wheat, for example.
What's the wheat?
The wheat
Okay.
we are using in agriculture is modified one, and it was modified several, I don't know, 50 years ago. It started from 13 chromosomes, and now it has 18 chromosomes. There were about 5 to 6 chromosomes added for a bigger resistance to pests, a bigger resistance to the climate, and other things that were added to improve the qualities. Even the quantities of the grains on the how to say
On the stock.
Yeah. And that we are all using that modified grain. We can go in a bio magazine with bio natural ingredients, and we buy at a higher price the wheat that our ancestors were using in agriculture, but that is not so economic.
Exactly,
But it's very
and
good.
it all sounds good on paper. Like
Yeah.
at first you're like, oh, we're gonna grow more faster,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be cheaper. But there is a discussion, at least in America, and it sounds like here, is that food affecting us negatively over time? I always like, with all the clients that I work with and the company I work with, we like to say take a step back, look at the basics, and then grow in every single area. Like I didn't start eating fully organic food, but I started with eating healthy food, and then you learn a little bit more, and you learn a little bit more. It's kind of like a house. You start with a solid foundation, and then you build and build and build. So I work with a lot of people that, like, is this like kind of like random information? Is this like kind of all over the place to you, or is it new? Okay. So like people can get kind of like sidetracked with that information. Like you can be like, oh, I eat organic all day long, but they're eating like organic cake. So it's like, is that really good for you? So kind of weigh the difference there. But it's just an interesting topic of conversation. It's like I told TV, he's kind of freaking out about, like, we don't have grapes. Like our grapes don't have seeds in them in America, and neither do our watermelon.
No?
No.
Have you eaten a watermelon here?
Yes.
It's
It was
full
weird.
of
There's little
seeds.
black things inside. That's not like that in America. Yeah, because like most of our food is genetically altered or changed like that. So it's pretty crazy. So
Spend more time in Romania.
yeah,
I like it.
I have to say I really enjoy Romania. I might stay a few extra days.
And buy some seeds.
Is it? Buy some seeds.
Buy some seeds.
Most of the grains cultivated are genetically modified.
Yeah.
Corn, wheat, rice,
Yeah.
barley,
Yeah.
soy, soybeans,
Yeah.
most of the soybeans, over 90% of the soybeans are genetically modified.
Yeah.
Also much most of the vegetables that we find in the market, and they say they're like from around here, they're actually imported from Turkey and some other place where they're well controlled.
Really? Yeah.
It's local, but
It's not their line. Yeah, they do that. They do that in America too, where they say, "Oh, it's all natural," but all natural can mean anything. So it's like they play on words. But what were you gonna say, TV?
No, I was just going to ask you to spend 30 more seconds on discussion about genetically modified food. Well, you give an example, like 5 minutes ago, about wheat that was genetically modified with 5 chromosomes extra than it used to have, just to resist some disease. My question was, what is the difference, where do we make the difference between adaptability, like making the species like wheat resist certain disease in order to feed the population because we're like 6 billion at the moment, and genetically modifying certain product
Yeah.
to make it economically viable. So, that's my question.
And that's actually a good side topic. And honestly, I'm not an expert in that, but there is kind of where the rubber meets the road on that. Like, is it better to not be hungry and have food that's modified? That's why this is kind of like a top level health kind of thing that I'm talking about right here. As far as like, if I had to tell you to start with the basics, I wouldn't tell you to worry about GMO and like organic, all natural stuff. I would tell you it's important, but if you're juggling the basics, I wouldn't give you like 12 balls to juggle. I'd probably just give you 3 to start with. So, that is an interesting topic. We could go there all day. Like, do you have any thoughts on that? Like,
No, it just came to me like 5 minutes ago.
well, and that's how we got in the trouble that I mean, if you want to unpack some history in America, in the 80s, they heavily started subsidizing food. And one of the more things that they subsidized was corn, because they wanted to have food to be more cheaper. And, I mean, not only for the world to have, more food, but I mean, even in economics, they wanted the average American family to spend less of their money on food and be spending it in other areas, like so that we could, progress the economy. So we started doing that, and it's a great idea. Oh yeah, it grows faster, cheaper, and let's grow a ton of corn and chop it up in all these different ways, and let's put it in everything. But what we're finding out over time is, that it's not really good for us. So I guess, but it's that you can juggle that all day long. Do you have any thoughts on that? No. Okay. Anyways, we got kind of fishtailed on that topic there, but it's good to avoid them. They're not meant for us. They're not meant for our bodies. So it's our bodies are prone to wanting it, enjoy it, but it's not part of your default setting or what you want to be doing. Processed carbs, like we talked about, white bread. TV, we went to the store the other day. Yes. Okay, well, we've been talking all week about some of this. How easy has it been to make a few subtle changes to your eating? And
they were like barely perceptible items from the eating habit.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a difference, but from what you say, it could make an impact on the way we live and on our entire health.
Yeah, over time. It all adds up, right? If I was to give you one rock today, it wouldn't be too hard to carry around. But if I gave you that same rock for 60 days, it'd be kind of hard to carry all that around. So everything adds up. High fructose corn syrup, this is one thing I'm going to talk about. And it seems like everyone here I've talked to is becoming newly aware of the amount of sugar that's in your guys' diet. Is that, I'm going to ask you again, is that something that is being more aware? Here's the amount of sugar we're intaking?
No, it's not. The people are not aware about the sugar and the side effects of the high intake of sugar daily.
Okay, let me talk on that for a few minutes, because this is actually, so if you want to talk about things that are vastly important, sugar intake is one of them. Let's just talk about sugar in general, because there's natural sugar that our body intakes. Sugar spikes your insulin levels, and one of the main contributors, besides all of them, for what diabetes happens is when you intake a lot of sugar, your body produces a bunch of insulin to process and break it down. So basically, like that car over time, we're not giving it what it needs. That's why people develop diabetes, because their ability to produce the proper amount or even any insulin is broken down. So people taking in a lot of sugar, it not only raises your insulin levels, which means you're more likely to store fat, but also it breaks your body down more over time. I mean, that's just natural sugar, the sugar that's in your fruits, the sugar that's in your all-natural sodas, the sugar that you just pour on anything in a recipe. Do you have anything else to add to that?
I wanted to say about the side effects of the high intake of sugar.
Yeah.
From my knowledge, it affects even your bones and your cartilage, and it lowers the immunity, because having more sugar in your blood, it kind of jelly your cells that you have in the blood flux. So
yeah.
The communications that are based on sugar fragments that are on the side of the cells, especially on the immunity cells, they are quite blurred, and they don't communicate so easily.
Yes.
So you have more problem with your immunity, with other disease, with coagulation. It starts to affect on every level. And
it's just very obvious, and you follow the trends of it. So in America, a century ago, from the amount of sugar we consumed a century ago, we consume 127 times more sugar a year than what we did before. And we are the highest in obesity, we are the highest in diabetes problems, so, and everything you were talking about breaking down the body. So if I'm talking to you about one thing, like those first few things you want to juggle, start looking at your sugar intake. Look at the back of everything. Does anyone look on the back to see how much sugar is? I know you did the other day. It kind of freaked you out. How much sugar is in just one little Coke bottle? 24 grams. Actually, I think it was over 30, wasn't it?
It was 24.
How much is on that bottle? What's that? 27 grams.
For 100 grams of juice, so there's 100 and...
No.
No, it's not.
No,
It's for 100.
There's 60 grams, and how much of that is your daily value? 10%? Yeah. Was that what? So that bottle right there has 60% of your daily allowance of sugar. And how many people drink like 2 bottles of pop a day? Yeah, easily, right? 2 an hour. And this is just the stuff. It's like, if you, just to be aware of it, you guys didn't know that stuff before, did you? Most of you didn't know it? No, you didn't know that. You didn't want to. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah.
But it's just knowing, so you can make a change. You can still, I'm not saying don't have Coke, because you can still have it, obviously. It's just knowing is half the battle, and you can make better choices based on what you know. But the biggest one on that, too, and the sugar that's in that can is not natural sugar. It's high fructose corn syrup. But does anyone know what that is?
Sugar made from cereal. It's a joke. It's a joke.
What's that?
Contains a high level of fructose.
Yes, actually what it's made from, so in the 80s, like I was talking about, we started producing a lot of corn. They figured out if you broke down corn a certain way, you developed a sugar. And it's a very addictive sugar, and it was very easy and cheap to make. So instead of putting natural sugar in all the food, they put this in it, because instead of like being able to produce a bottle like that for the same price, they could give you 64 ounces for the exact same price. So the industry was like, oh cool, we can give more people, we can make more profit, it's great. The other thing that they noticed about it is high fructose corn syrup affects the receptors in your brain. It actually starts to shut off your receptors that tell you you're full, so that's why you eat more generally when you have high fructose corn syrup. Plus, also high fructose corn syrup is broken down by your body differently than any other carbohydrates that you consume in your body. It's a lot harder on your body. So, if I could give you just like the main tips, if you're like taking anything away, watch your sugar intake. Look out for high fructose corn syrup. It's not meant to be in your body, and it can really hurt it and break it down over time. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you differentiate on the label which one is fructose corn syrup?
What do you call it here? Like,
I will say in Romanian. La noi pe etichetele de pe dulciuri scrie adaos de amestec de glucoză fructoză sau ceva.
Scrie aici pe el sirop de fructoză glucoză.
Așa, sirop de fructoză glucoză. E un amestec între zahăr obișnuit și fructoză.
Așa e separat. It says differently, sugar and...
So it's a language problem.
In Romania, on the labels, on candies or something like that, it says
Glucose, fructose.
a mixture between glucose and fructose.
can you differentiate it on the can?
Yeah, it's
That's how it says.
Okay.
Instead of
And on many it says it has sugar and syrup of glucose, fructose, juice, and other natural ingredients. Nu știu ce.
Gotcha. So that's what you want to look out on your containers, because, and actually it's really funny, in America, they're trying to throw all this propaganda out saying that high fructose corn syrup is not bad for you. They want to officially change the name to corn sugar because people are finally catching on to the health risk and what it does to your body over time. So the industries, they're always trying to be very tricky with you. So that's one of the main takeaways. But if I'm giving you guys all this information, but really what I want to give you is, if you could just add, like, the biggest important to your schedule is breakfast every day. Eat 5 to 6 times a day. Eat every 3 to 4 hours. Keep your insulin levels in check. Keep your metabolism building, because you can, like, slow down your metabolism or build your metabolism up based on how you're eating. It can either be, it can work for you or it can work against you. Drink lots of water. Avoid processed food. All pretty simple, right? Well, we just talked about a lot of stuff, but if you break it down, that's what you want to do. And more importantly, because this is what a lot of people confuse in America, they're like, oh, I want to lose weight or I want to be healthy. I got to exercise a lot. Exercise is at most probably 20% of the equation. The rest of the equation is how you feed your body. And there's a big difference in how you feel, how your body will react over time, and the life that you do. And really the breakdown of it is knowing the main macronutrients here. So, like, what I'm going to ask Dr. Barbanek. What do you want to have? Like, what's a generic healthy meal that'd be a good thing to have here that you guys concentrate on having?
Well, first of all, we don't really concentrate on healthy meals. We concentrate on tasty meals in general. So pretty much, if you have some traditional food or something, then you're good. You don't really look for veggies or something. You don't try to add veggies or fruits in your diet. You just concentrate on what's good.
Okay.
So, yes, in Romania...
You don't even think about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the lucky thing is that most of the food that's traditional here is pretty healthy for you, decently healthy for you.
I've actually noticed that a lot of it. So basically, when you look at having a meal, so like those 3 meals I was talking about, eating day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then small meals in between, is you want to look at it and you want to have basically, this is what your plate should look like. 50% of it should be veggies and fruit because of the nutrition you get from it. More veggies than fruit because fruit has more sugar in it, but either or is good. They both have health benefits to it. Complex carbs, so like a brown rice, quinoa, yam, or a whole wheat stuff. There's a big benefit to having that rather than processed pasta or like white bread or any of that stuff, because there's really no nutritional value, and your body just turns that right into sugar, and you're basically you might as well just go consume a lot of sugar. And then a protein, because your body, someone asked me if I was going to tell people not to eat meat, and it's like, no, you should eat a lot of meat. You should eat, definitely concentrate on leaner, healthier proteins, fish, chicken, turkey, those kind of things. But meat is so essential to your body makeup. It is the macronutrient that helps you build muscle, and we all know we want more muscle in our body, right? So it's kind of that effect. So you guys all happy to hear that I want you to eat lots of meat? Yes. Yeah.
I have a small critique about eating a lot of meat. I just found out several months ago that in our traditional family, several hundred years ago, it was a tradition to eat meat only 2 days a week, in Saturday and Sunday. And that also mom told me she was growing in the countryside. So her mother, my grandmother, was preparing meat, about a turkey or a chicken, only Sundays, because it was a holiday. And from that it was making soup and other preparations for the next 2 days. And for the other 4 days that were lasting, it was only veggies and fruits and whole wheat or potatoes. It was a combination that or beans, several types of beans that can give you whole and quality proteins also.
Yes, because you can get proteins other sources than just meats. But that again is
and
kind of like
mushrooms. Fish was usually eat, but mushrooms, beans that can give you proteins. I don't know the names to tell you, but it was. I know that in our traditional agriculture, they were using a lot. We're using a lot of seeds. I don't know the names now to tell you, but they were meiu, bobu. Astea erau folosite și au foarte bună proteină de calitate. So, in my opinion, to conclude, in my opinion, it's not so healthy to eat meat every day.
There is many different schools of thoughts on it, and that is more like your super basis, that's like the roof of your house kind of information as far as if you're building the house. I'm talking about the bare basics of eating.
If I'm talking on the same level with you to bring an obese to a normal diet,
yes,
I won't put him on eating twice a week meat. So I will try to improve the burns in proteins. So I will take him to eat meat every day, and eventually in future to restrict the meat intake.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You and me will. Yeah, we're getting a little bit we're getting kind of out there for the main people. Yeah, what's up?
Can I just ask something before you go to the exercise part? What about artificial sweeteners? I'm actually, I've recently started a low-carb diet.
Yes.
And it's been a bit hard for me here because, of course, there's a lot of carbs there, and I'm trying to avoid everything. And
you guys call it holiday here, right? Holiday.
Yeah, but I'm not on holiday with eating, so yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about the artificial sweeteners, if they have the same effect as sugar, the same effect on insulin. I mean, okay, when I really feel like having something sweet, I can have, for example, some light Coke, although I don't really enjoy it, but it's sweet, so it stops my craving basically. But it's artificial sweetener, so it's not really.
You're getting into dangerous territory because there isn't study on that. So the greater good, I'd say yes, because you're not breaking down if you have to choose one or the other, I go with Diet Coke, like if I have to have one. But there are a lot of studies out there of the effects that artificial sweeteners have on the body not being good over time. There are actually more natural ones here, like I personally, and again, I'm not an expert in the artificial sweeteners realm, but knowing that it has a low sugar amount to it makes it, I guess if you have to choose one or the other, it's a better choice. So I choose Diet Coke. There's actually a brand of pop that I have back in America. It's called Zevia. It's made with stevia. Yeah, so so it's an all-natural sweetener. That's even better than like your other your processed artificial sweetener.
Stevia.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Adina. I've been doing bodybuilding for 7 years.
Yes.
I have been studying all about nutrition, and I know and it was demonstrated that the brain can't make this difference between sugar and sweet. the insulin will raise the same. I don't know, maybe now after Atlantykron, we will convince our brain
not to produce that insulin. So if anyone didn't hear her, she said that there is study and information that show that even if you have an artificial sweetener that isn't high in sugar, like high glycemic index, that your body will still recognize it as sugar and produce. So that's why I said this is kind of a, touchy situation, in my opinion. Like because I say enjoy things in moderation. It's making those better choices over time that are going to affect your life. If I have to have a Coke or a Diet Coke, I choose Diet Coke. So that's my personal opinion. So good question.
I don't really drink that. I mean,
yeah,
it's only when I really
when you really need it. I can though, what I've seen, and I'm not an expert in the subject. Stevia is a much better source.
Yeah,
for
I
that.
always use it at home because when I do something sweet,
Yeah, they don't have it over there at the cantina.
But, yeah, it's pretty hard here.
Yeah.
How do you define breakfast?
How do I define breakfast? Actually, you know what? I kind of skipped over that. I'll go over that. So, a breakfast. So every meal that you have, you want to have a makeup of this. Like this is kind of your blueprint for making a meal. You want to have a protein. You want to have a complex carb. We got into the some other different types of proteins like beans and other protein sources. But if you're looking at a basic meal, you'd want to have a protein, a complex carb, and vegetables. So anyone think of like that a meal you can have for breakfast that would be really good with that?
But then what I'm asking is if I use an hour and a half after
I guess that's true because most people here waking up are almost waking up at dinner time. So, do you call it dinner or do you call it breakfast? No, that's actually a really good question. I define breakfast as the first meal you have, and it's good to get that going right as soon as you wake up. So, eating, no more than pushing it an hour and a half after you wake up. So, basically, the blueprint of your day is you want to wake up, you want to have a meal because your body hasn't been eating all night, and hopefully you fed it before you went to bed. Or else there's a long time where your insulin levels are dropping, and that also slows down your metabolism. So you want to have that first meal, and yeah. So like, what would be a good meal to have for breakfast? Eggs, tomatoes, diced onions, that kind of stuff. Maybe a whole wheat bread. You have that. About 400 to 500 calories is a good start. Then a few hours later, you can have like a small snack, like Greek yogurt right here. Like that's like another meal you can have. You're keeping your metabolism going. You're keeping your insulin levels balanced. You're keeping food coming in. You're not having this kind of effect on your day. You're kind of just keeping it open-killed, so your body's just chilling instead of going up and down, going crazy. So, GB, I kind of made a connection with you. Is instead of having 3 big meals a day, that would be like, so we all drive cars here, right? The difference is if you hop in your car, drive it really fast to the next location, just shut it off. That's harder on the car. Like, if you do that 3 times a day, you're just kind of you're wearing it out. But if you just drive slow, warm it up, over time, your body's going to be more, your car is going to be better over time because you're treating it better. You're having it operate and warm up the way you want it to. It's more of a balance. So, and then you can have something at lunch. Again, a protein, veggies good. Almonds are a great snack for that, those little snacks you have a day. Then at dinner time, you can have another good meal. TV, we've been making a lot of great healthy meals. If you guys want to see a healthy meal, visit TV's tent around 6 o'clock. The man's a cooking genius. And then a small meal before bed. And that's the one thing that most people, I don't know if you guys say that in here in Romania, but people are you're not supposed to eat before bed.
Yes.
So you're not supposed to eat a lot before bed, but to keep everything going, it's not bad to have a small snack in the evening. It's better to keep your calorie intake coming in around the time that you're spending, you're burning the most calories. But if you're not eating for a long period of time, then you're slowing down your metabolism. So nothing wrong with having a smaller snack. I'm talking 100 or 200 calories or less before you go to bed. And most of us are having a big meal here before we go to bed. So obviously it doesn't kill you. But that way you don't go let's say you stop eating at 5 p.m. and you don't wake up till 10 p.m. the next day. That's what's the time? 7. That's 13 hours you didn't eat, and your body is wanting food, and that's time that your insulin is dropping. That's time that your metabolism is slowing down. So does that make sense? And does that jive with anything that you've learned eating wise? So that's kind of, a lot of people don't understand that. You're not supposed to eat before bed. No, don't eat a lot of sugar, don't eat a lot of carbs before bed, and don't eat a lot of calories before bed. But it's not bad to eat in the evening. So does that boggle anyone's mind? Is that new information?
What would you recommend? What would be an ideal, an example?
Anything. We call it low glycemic. Do you know that term? Yeah, anything low glycemic is good. So like, I don't know, Greek yogurt, there's really nothing wrong with that. Eggs, anything that's not going to be processed high sugar, anything that's going to be more protein or veggie based. So like, you can have anything like that. So not ice cream, not any of that stuff. That's when our body craves it the most, but that's when it's the worst time for our body. Our body kind of doesn't do us favor, because if we listen to what our body wants, and we give it what it needs, then or what it asks for, it's generally not asking for what it wants or what's best for our bodies. Yeah, go ahead. Join the club. Every year they come out. Eggs are good. Eggs are bad. Blah blah blah. You should have egg whites. Oh wait, if you have the egg whites with the yolk, there, it cancels out the cholesterol. So eggs are a good source of protein, and actually, as your body absorbs, that is one of the most highly absorbed proteins for your body. So you eat foods with protein, and your body breaks it down, and some proteins have a higher absorption rate, like what actually gets into your muscles. And eggs have one of the highest absorption rates. So again, like, I reserve the right to say that more information could come out on any subject. I personally think eggs are good, and egg whites are even better for you as a choice for that. Yes. That's kind of what the most recent information I've read about this. And again, I'm going to keep talking this kind of stuff. This is roof-type health information, like the top of the house. But yeah, no, it's confusing. Like, that's why so many people in America have a hard time keeping healthy. There's all this random information, and you can get confused on it because it's like, oh, eggs are bad, eggs are good. And by the end of the day, you're just like, well, screw it, let's just go have a pizza instead, right? So that's why it's good just to practice the basics and not get caught up in the semantics about all that. Yes, there's probably that information, and yes, next year, eggs will probably be bad for you, but then they'll be good the next year, so whatever, So don't get hung up on that decision. Focus on making better decisions over time and continuing to educate yourself. So, yeah.
One short question. I've heard about this rule that you're not supposed to mix vegetables with fruit at the same meal. Yeah, I know it's
Yes,
the roof.
the roof. The roof.
It's really important. So because the digestion is slower on the veggies and I don't know, it feels weird and I don't know what to do.
What I would say is, personally, I wouldn't really worry about it. Yes, there's information. Continue to gather information. So my wife and I back home, we went and get our blood tested. You can actually get your blood work done, and it can tell you if you have an allergy to potatoes, if you have an allergy to wheat, if you shouldn't eat vegetables within so many hours of eating a protein. Your body can, our bodies are vastly different, but that's that's like the very tip top of the roof kind of information. But it's a good question. You should learn that stuff. And it's kind of crazy that you would think, oh, we eat it. We just eat it any time, right? Well, they can affect the other. So actually, it's a really good question to be thinking about that kind of stuff. But don't get caught up in those semantics. Do the basics and then continue to gain more information. I don't know. When you find out about it, tell me. I'd like to know.
And the same question I would ask would be about water, when to drink water, and of course about food. Food should be consumed during the meals or between meals, and what intervals. But especially water, because water can have a bad influence over the gastric acid.
Again, this is the roof type stuff. Yeah, this is the roof type stuff. I've heard a lot of different stuff, and this is the thing that gets people confused because there's so much information and studies that'll come out with this. And what I would say is continue to educate yourself on that, on the most recent information out there. I don't currently keep up to date on that stuff because what I would say is just drink water. Don't worry about when right now. And if you find out more information or you find your body operates better a certain way when you're practicing water intake, well then adjust with new information or how your body feels. But I would say focus on getting that water in. And I like to say get it in throughout the day. Don't drink a lot before bed because I'll get to sleep in a second. Sleep is vitally important, and if you're drinking a lot of water before bed, your bladder is going to wake you up in the middle of the night. So throughout the day, so your body maintains a level of hydration that's good for the body. Yeah. And what was your other question? Oh, fruits and same thing. Just eat them.
Eat them.
Just eat fruits and veggies. Good question though. This is all the stuff that gets people confused. And if you don't know, then you're kind of like, I don't want to do it anyways.
There are two directions in our culture. One is to not be educated about eating kind of sugar and so on. And there are people that become educated on different channels about their food source and try to get food from those that cultivate it more naturally.
Yeah.
And, also they take care about their I don't know protein intake and sugar intake and so on. So these things can be significant for those that are trying to make a change about this
Exactly.
eating habit.
Oh yeah. So how long have you been sitting in this class right now? Did you just join us?
No, I've been dragging.
Okay, just well, we talked about that
Maybe
earlier.
I had to say something to notice.
Yes. Well, now I know you're there. But we talked about that earlier, remember? Like, it's fine. You want to find out all that information, but don't get caught up in the semantics. 90% of the population doesn't even do these basic things. But I say encourage those things. But in America, it's really funny. And Heather, you can probably back me up on this. People will preach to me all day long about how I need to eat organic or be vegetarian, and they're 50 pounds overweight and they're going to go eat a cake that's organic. So it's like, why are you like they'll tell me what I'm doing wrong, but like it's like, yeah, you're perfect in one area. You're eating fully organic, great, and you're a vegetarian, which we can get into the good the ifs and buts about that. But you're so perfect in that area, and you're missing the fact that you're overweight and you're not eating healthy throughout the day. So
Organic cake is still a cake.
yes. No. I'm sorry if I didn't express this. You're absolutely right, and people should gain more information about this. But I like to when I teach my clients, it's like building a house. That's the stuff you want to get to, because the house is never. Well, most people, the house is never fully complete. You're always going to be making upgrades and maintaining. But, and as you get to the roof, like that's the kind of stuff that's like the cherry on top of, knowing your health. Start with the basics, get better at the basics. Never stop striving for more information. That's the one thing I can tell you. You guys are pretty much all here because you're pretty good at a particular field at something, correct? Or want to be. And you guys know that to be good at that field, you don't just ever arrive, right? You're constantly learning, you're constantly growing, you're constantly practicing, right? The same thing goes with your health. That's just what I encourage people to do. It's not like winning a race. It's a continual, it's a pace it's a long time journey. Yeah. No, and that's a good question. I'm sorry I didn't say. I meant that it's good information. Like, you should know this stuff. Like, you should strive to do it, but build up to knowing that stuff. And that's a pretty big topic of conversation in Romania at this time.
For some people.
In some circles. Yeah, and that's good. It's good to want to learn that information. Anyways, but it's funny coming from America. That's the biggest thing. People start focusing on the roof before they even got a foundation going. It's pretty funny. So, anyways, good conversation about healthy eating. You guys have a lot of good information on that. Thank you, guys. I always enjoy a good conversation on that. So the other one, like I was talking about, is exercise. So remember, what's one of the first important thing is a good body composition. We talked about how to have that and how to feed your body through food and maintain good body composition. The next one is exercise. And really, the goal for exercise is to condition your body. Exercising also helps build your metabolism. So when you're exercising correctly, it helps continue to raise that metabolism. Build muscle. We all talked about the benefits of that. For guys, girls like you a little bit more. You burn more calories. It's a good thing to gain muscle, right? It burns, like I said, burns more calories. And when you exercise more, there is proof that it helps your mind. So all those things play into it. So it doesn't really matter what you want, because I have a lot of people that I help that are like, I don't like the gym. I don't want to run. Do what you want to do as long as you start moving your body. And then once you start moving your body, you can start working on your house of exercise. So if you want to start building muscle, there's oh my gosh, Americans, we're so funny. So I have people that I coach and that I assist, and they'll be like, they'll lose all this weight, and they'll be like, well, the next thing I want to do is I want to build muscle. Watch it. Let me back up. Your actions should always support your goal. So some people will tell me like, oh, I want to, that thing you were talking about, building more muscle, I want to do that. I want to put on more muscle. So I'm going to start running. And I'm like, how is running going to help you put on more muscle? Because you got to match what you want. Yes, absolutely. Go running. It's good for your cardio. It's good for your body. You're moving. It's good for your brain. But it's not going to support putting on more muscle.
It's not going to build those packs so they get you that six-pack.
Exactly, yes. So it should match what you do. And that's really all I have to say about healthy exercise, unless anyone wants to talk on it. But the most important thing is to ease into it, just like eating. Find the routine. Find something you like. Start building up on it. And when you work on this particular practice of your health, make sure it's sustainable. Just working out 3 or 4 times a week has a huge difference in your healthy mind and how your body works. And it doesn't have to be long. You can get workouts in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You don't have to go to the gym for 2 hours 5 times a week. And that's what keeps a lot of people out of the gym. I actually haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen a lot of gyms here. Do you guys have gyms here? Yeah. I saw you working out on the beach, so I know you guys make your own gym sometime. What were you doing?
Push-ups. Push-ups, running.
A lot of things. Yeah. How often do you work out, roughly, on average? Daily? And did you always exercise daily? Always? You're the man, dude.
Since he was born.
That's why the women like you. But that's the biggest thing. And actually, so from the medical standpoint, what do you guys study with exercise here? Like, what do you say about it along with that?
When I was in the medical faculty.
No, it's not. Just speak up.
Okay. So I also like to practice exercises. I was quite in a pro sometimes.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I was doing aerobics. It was quite funny because I was the only guy along with 60 girls, and everybody was making laugh at me because I was doing aerobics and not basketball or something like that. And I also was selected for the national competition, university competition, and I also took the 3rd prize. So I kept doing aerobics and running with bicycles 20 kilometers per day, but not for fun. It's the way I go to hospital and went back. So I mix the pleasure with the pleasure of exercise with going to hospital. So
awesome. Okay.
The business with the pleasure.
You mixed it into your daily routine. I was looking a little bit more from like what you studied from the medical point of view, but that's actually it proved the point that you just have to get it going in your life.
From a theoretical point of view, the practice doesn't. It has to be constant.
Yes.
You don't have to break out.
You don't go exercise for 4 hours one day.
And the other day half an hour, and you have I don't know, the consciousness tells you that you were not doing your exercises, and the 3rd day you have 6 hours of workout. So.
Yeah. The more important part, just like I was talking about, is just finding the routine of it. So getting it into your system and just starting a little bit at a time, and then you can build up to building on your goals and working on body composition, etc., etc. So you could go on all day on this topic right here. The idea is just to start doing something you enjoy doing. It could be even walking the dog if you like walking the dog, but just get your body moving. The next one here, and you don't hear about this, and most people are pretty surprised that we talk about it, is healthy sleep. You guys, is anyone aware of the benefits of how important sleep is to your body? DB, you get any sleep?
Yeah, a couple of hours.
Gio, do you sleep ever? I don't think I've ever seen you in the tent. You're like up all day. Anyways, sleep is the glue that keeps everything together on this. So getting good quality sleep is like super important. So finding, like, again, when you're working on your practice of your healthy body, getting sleep. And they say that average 6 to 7 hours a day. There used to be a study saying that women needed less sleep than men, and now they're kind of finding out that currently it's like there's no difference. We all need about 6 to 7 hours of sleep. But you want to get good sleep. There's a difference between anyone snoring? There's some snorers out there, right? That's not when you snore. That's a good example of not getting quality sleep because your body's constantly off, etc. But you want to get good quality sleep, and that's REM sleep. It's where you get into your REM cycle and your body's getting fully rested. So having overall better health, like working on all the areas that we've talked about, will assist you in already getting better sleep. But then there's things you can do that will assist this, like avoid caffeine in the evenings, like. That is a stimulant, and that's one of the main things Americans really mess up because they drink coffee all day long. Your brain receptors take those in all day, and it will hold you back from getting better sleep. So, have caffeine. I actually really have no problem with caffeine, like, in, moderate amount, but have it in the beginning part of the day. Have a relaxing environment. I know we're on an island, and so it's not exactly like our normal conditions, but have a relaxing sleep environment. Make sure that it's dark. Make sure that it's relaxing, and also try to avoid electronics in the evening because those electronics stimulate your brain and hold you back from getting your full sleep. Again, this is more like roof information. The fact is, just get better sleep and get better and work on. If you wake up tired, if you don't wake up rested, it's just hurting your body because when you're not getting sleep very well, you're stressing out your body. When you stress out your body produces more cortisol, et cetera, down the line. It's kind of like this whole vicious cycle. You exercise, you eat better, you have a healthier body, you sleep better. It can go the other way. You sleep bad, well, your body's not as healthy, you don't exercise as well, you don't eat as well. It can work for you or it can work against you. And this is one that a lot of people don't even think about, but it's probably, without good sleep, a lot of that stuff that you're doing is kind of in vain. So again, just another area to practice and getting better on. When I first heard about sleep, I was like, hey, you can just sleep when you're dead, right? It's not a big deal. Like, sleep's not that important, but it's probably one of the most vitally important things. Anyone agree? Anyone like sleep here? Anyone excited to get more of it when we go home? Yeah, I know you're going to sleep for like 2 days. That's pretty much it. But just really the same way when you're at home, I encourage everyone to build a healthy environment. So for your food, have healthy food around. Because if you have bad food, guess what? You're probably going to eat bad food when it's in your house. So have healthy food. And if you want healthy sleep, make sure you have a healthy sleep environment. Make sure that you don't have like I don't have TV in my bedroom. We don't have electronics in our bedroom. Our room is painted a really nice color and we have blackout shades, so we get really good sleep. It's really important. And anyone who didn't sleep well before, get really good at getting good sleep and notice the difference it made in their life. Has anyone done that? No? We're all just sleeping? Okay. I made a change in that and I noticed a huge difference, like almost immediately making those changes. So it's pretty important.
About the sleep,
Yeah.
About the sleep, I noticed a bad difference. So before entering the faculty, I was sleeping from 9, 10 to 6, 7 in the morning, and in faculty, and now I sleep about 12 a.m. and to 7 a.m. So I cut off the 2 hours between 9 or 10 or 2 p.m. that are very important for good sleep.
You found that to be better?
Yeah,
okay.
And that it's effective. I sense it's affecting my whole day.
Yeah, it changes your entire routines, and it's just, again, better habit over time. Semantics, but he's noticing a difference. Like, it's, again, we're going to call it the roof. And then the last thing here is the healthy mind. This one's really important, too, to a healthy body. They've actually polled the people that have lived a full 100 years. They polled all of them across the world. And you know what the number one common thing that they said was vitally important in their life and their routine, besides some of the basics, obviously, and not being progressive? That's not usually when we're the most happiest. So big difference on that. Make time for spiritual and personal growth. Very vitally important for your mind. And also, the big thing also is dive into positive relationships. There is a big difference, and that's the one thing. They cited a lot of these things as people that lived 100 years all over the world, but what they cited, the number one thing they cited is that they had many solid relationships, and they made a point to continue to connect with people, because that's kind of the driving force. It's our will to live. We're meant to be with each other. So find good friends. I mean, does anyone know good people on an island anywhere that, like, collectively better people than you met? People ask me what I liked about the island. It's like, the caliber of people here are pretty amazing. So congratulations, you guys are already doing part of this right now by being on this island. So so that's kind of the healthy mind kind of stuff. And it's really more about the practice. So if anyone's interested in more of this information, the program that I coach, it also has some reading materials that I suggest. One of them is this book right here. It's called Discover Your Optimal Health. It talks about everything that I just talked about. It's about the basics and really more of the mindset of what I was talking about. I highly suggest this book. There's another book called Habits of Health, which is a much bigger book, but it goes into the ins and outs of how our bodies work, a little bit of that I covered today. So continue to educate, like you were talking about, like finding out that information. Never be done learning, because it's very important. So with that, that's looking at your health as a whole, and I hope it was helpful. You guys had a lot of good information and a lot of good things to share, so I appreciate you letting me talk with you guys today.
Thank you.